Hey guys, welcome back to week 8 of the Pokemon Battle League. This is guest commentator Casey. I'm going to be commentating on the battle between Cake Golem, Greg, and Evan of the Saffron City Sneasels, I think, and the Blackthorn City Hydreigon. That'll be Greg. So without further ado, here we go. I have not yet watched this battle, so it's going to be a blind commentary. Hopefully they do interesting things, otherwise I feel like I'm going to be wasting my time. Start off with some pretty run-of-the-mill music selection. I'm a little disappointed by whoever, I guess Greg, in this case, is the home team. Greg leads off with Il Matador, his Roserade. Evan leads off with Greninja, named Eraserhead. Reference to My Hero Academia, I believe. He doesn't like the matchup though, so Evan switches out to the Canker Sisters, his Hydreigon, which is the namesake of Greg's team. Greg misses a Sleep Powder, which is a bummer for him. Evan switches again to Davy Jones, and Greg switches out his Roserade. Sends out Zygote, which is a accurate and gross name for his Ranculus. But Zygote suffers the attack pretty well from Davy Jones, and Evan decides to switch back out to the Hydreigon. Greg opts to increase the defenses on his Pokemon. But it's a kind of a... yeah. Don't know what he was thinking there. Decides to bring out Calamity, his Tyranitar. Starts up a Sandstorm. But Evan sees that coming, or perhaps is just not afraid of whatever can come out, so he goes for a Draco Meteor. But that lowering of a special attack is more than he's wishing to deal with, so he switches again to Stranger Danger, his Beware. Tyranitar goes for an Ice Punch, but it doesn't have much effect. Greg switches out to Clampazzo, his Gliscor? I forget. I get those two confused. Which immediately poisons itself. Greg throws down Stealth Rocks on Evan's side of the field. Evan uses an Ice-type attack, which is the bane of Gliscor, I'm gonna assume. Greg can't take 2 Ice Punches, so he switches into his Rotom Wash, Deluge. I always find the Rotoms to be one of the harder Pokemon to nickname. I guess Deluge is as good as anything. Davy Jones back out onto the field in all his shiny glory. Goes for the Will-O-Wisp and misses. Greg's missing a lot of these status attacks. Evan decides he's sick of having Stealth Rocks on his side of the field and gets rid of them using a Rapid Spin. Greg keeps hammering away with a hidden power, but Evan's got a rest up his sleeve, so all of that HP is coming right back. And he clearly came prepared. The berry wakes it right back up again. This time, Greg is successful in his status attack, and Davy Jones has now burned. It's a bold move, considering that he was asleep a second ago. Volt switches out. and brings in Roserade. Evan uses Power Whip without much effect. A little bit of healing, a little bit of burn damage. Evan stays in. Greg goes for the Sludge Bomb. Evan rests up, gets rid of that damage, and gets rid of that burn. Everyone's playing pretty conservatively still. A lot of healing and switching. Evan sends out Lucky, his Jirachi, which is immune to poison. Greg doesn't like the matchup and sends out Constable. And Evan sends out his own set of Stealth Rocks. Lucky then poisons Constable. Greg was expecting him to switch out. Use Pursuit. There's some solid damage, but since Evan stayed in, not as much as it could have. Evan goes for Iron Head, hoping for that flinch, which he gets. It's not typical to Evan's playstyle, but I doubt he was actually counting on it. Jirachi's healing up and spamming Iron Head. Greg makes a switch. And it's something that can take on Jirachi a little bit better in his mind. Evan seems to agree and withdraws Lucky. Sends out his Greninja, Eraserhead. Now it's Greg's turn to heal up. Greg brings Roserade back out. Evan seems to have predicted that and goes for a stab U-turn for some pretty significant damage. Evan brings out Will Smith. I think that's a Aladdin reference, which is pretty funny and a little creepy. Greg doesn't like the matchup. Switch backs out to Clampazzo, which might have been a sacrificial play. Presented with a clean switch, Greg brings in his Tyranitar. Which starts up Sandstorm. Will Smith has a superpower, so I guess maybe we're watching Hancock now instead of Aladdin. I apologize for that joke. Constable comes out, and he likes the Sandstorm. He gets double speed. Evan, seeing that coming, starts up a Tailwind. He must have expected to be statused at some point, because that facade is quite strong because of the poison. Evan brings out Eraserhead, which is still faster, despite the double speed on Greg's side. Greg must not have seen that coming. It's unfortunate. He brings back out Deluge, which is a good matchup against Greninja. Greninja opts for a Dark Pulse for some adequate damage, which triggers Greg's Berry, healing it back up. Greninja's now burned, which will have its attack power for its physical attacks, so those U-turns aren't going to hit quite so hard. Doesn't affect the Dark Pulse though. Greg Volt switches out, which almost but doesn't quite get the KOs cleanly. Roserade comes out, the burn finishes off Eraserhead. That's one less threat for Greg to deal with. Out come the Canker Sisters. Which is a rough matchup for Roserade. Dark Pulse finishes off in one go. Not many options left on Greg's side. He must not have really wanted to switch into something that can Dark Pulse, but had to be done. Zygote goes down in one blow. And finally we have Rotom Wash, which is almost dead, and it switches into the stones and dies. So that wraps up the match. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this, and we'll see you next week.